watching Lubed for February the 20th, 2024. This is season 3, episode 42, Sugarcane. That's right. Evander Kane looked great yesterday. And Knolauch did something very good too. He reverted to what was working in that 16-game winning streak and realigned the stars again, and it seems to work pretty good. I'm a strong believer and a strong believer in the philosophy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, yeah, so he did revert back. I kind of get the premise of why he actually did do it. He just wanted to see what kind of attributes he has if he mixes it up a little bit. It just wasn't really working that well. And then, of course, we got Corey Perry in that. So obviously there's a little bit of influx as far as the chemistry goes, just by having him there. I think there was just a little too much dabbling, and I think it kind of shot Knolauch in the foot. But however, I'm giving him credit because he doesn't want to just be a one trick pony. He wants to be able to go in the playoffs and have many different attributes, and see what could end up happening. But it was a very, very good game against the Coyotes for the third period. I was not very impressed with the first two periods. Nick Bjugstad was haunting us, our former Edmonton Oiler that joined us last season from Arizona and then went back to Arizona in the offseason. Yeah, it was not exactly the most pleasant situation, but once Knolauch switched up things back in the third period, things just started going fluently. Oilers are really good in the third period. That's one thing I can say. The Oilers really seem to turn the jam on in the third period, and they did again in Arizona. So let's dive into... Okay, so obviously we're going to talk about that. We're going to also talk about the potential of Mark Hunter becoming the next GM. And I think there's a strong... this could be a very strong source that he will actually be it, because he is kind of tied to I forgot our Oilers president name, but the one that basically brought in Knolauch, and that he's kind of tied to the same. I can't. It's just not. Sorry, guys. I came on late. I worked a lot of overtime today. I'm a little tired, so I might be a little bit off on this episode. I do apologize. But yeah, he might be tied to the organization that way. He did have a little stint in Toronto. We'll get into that. And at the deadline, I have a vote up on my community page right now of 3 players that the Oilers have been definitely, or what we've been hearing on the rumor mill of who the Oilers are potentially going after, at least 2 of them anyway. And then I just want to get you guys to vote on there and see what happens. So we'll discuss that when we get there. And then, of course, the Mighty Bruins are in town tomorrow against the Oilers. That'll be a hell of a game. Going to do up the chicken wings and have a few beers for that one, I think. It should be good. It should be a good game. But without further ado, let's get into the Oilers-Coyotes game. And this was a game that, honestly, it definitely had some moments. The first 2 periods, they were okay. But the second period wasn't very good at all for the Oilers. And we'll get into the scoring summary right now as Leon Draisaitl immediately making a presence in this game. 2 minutes and 12 seconds into the game. Power play goal. This would be his 27th of the year for McDavid and Evan Bouchard. 1-0 Edmonton. Nick Bjugstad, that's right. The guy that we acquired at the deadline last year and then end up going back to Arizona this year. He would get his 11th, and not the only one of the night, from Lawson Krause and Matt Dumba. 1-1. Matthias Janmark would make it 2-1 in the first period. This would be from Brett Kulak and Vinny Desharnais. By the way, Mullet Arena felt like uh, Rogers Rogers Arena or Rogers Center or whatever, Rogers Place. Again, I'm tired, guys. Rogers Place when the Toronto Maple Leafs come into town. You know how when you go to those games, it seems like there's more Maple Leafs or more Montreal Canadian fans in the building. That's what it felt like at Mullet Arena. I would say about 75% of that audience were Edmonton Oilers fans. It was loud for the Oilers. It felt like a home game for the Oilers. We go to the second period, a sloppy period for the Oilers. They wouldn't even get anything on the board as Clayton Keller would get his 22nd on the power play, making it 2-2, and then it would be Nick Bjugstad making it 3-2, and I'm like, oh, let's not lose to the Coyotes, please. No, we wouldn't lose to the Coyotes. Third period, Kris Knolauch would revert back to all that was good, basically, and basically it seemed like it anyway. Evander Kane getting his 20th. This is where Evander Kane looked really good in this period, and that's why I called it Sugar Cane, because I was just like, wow, very impressive. He got his 20th from Evan Bouchard and Matthias Ekholm at 4:28, 3-3. Zach Hyman getting his 33rd of the year. What a year he's having. From Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard. Evander Kane getting his 21st and second of the night from Ryan McLeod and Leon Draisaitl. And then Warren Foegele would cap it off with the empty netter. 6-3 is your final. That would be assisted by McDavid and Draisaitl. Very, very decent effort for the Oil. But it just, the chemistry just isn't there with certain players. And I think Knobloch's got to realize that. Like, I know you want to go into the playoffs with different weapons and different assault tactics and all that, and that's smart. And that's okay for him to try it out. And now is the good time to try it out now that the streak is over. But yeah, it obviously there's certain pairings, because I'm not a big fan of having Draisaitl and McDavid on the same line. I'm not a big fan of that. Those are two huge weapons that you need to have on their own separate lines. Anyway, we go into the game breakdown. Shots on goal were 26-25 for the Edmonton Oilers. Giveaways were 11-5 Oilers. Power play, 1 for 2, 50%. Penalty kill, 1 for 2, 50% as well. Goals against average. Skinner, 3 goals, 22 saves for an .880 save percentage. Yeah, he is not exactly doing what he was doing during that streak, but you can't expect him to maintain that level of play. Like eventually, you hope he gets to that level, but he's still trying to find his way. He's still trying to become. He is a bona fide NHL goalie. Don't get me wrong with that, and he is a bona fide starter, I would say now. But he's also at that level where he's just in the first phases of his NHL career, and he will get better through time. So, yeah, I can't really complain about it, but he has kind of dropped off a bit. My 3 stars. Now, you're wondering, I got Knobloch as the number 1 star, and I'm gonna pick Knobloch for one reason: the fact that he went back to what works. You need to kind of really go back to what works, and he did. He did in the third period there, and then all of a sudden the Oilers were firing on all cylinders. Evander Kane obviously is my 2nd star, even though it doesn't say 2nd there, and Ryan McLeod is my 3rd star. It was a good effort on the Oilers, very decent effort. I just would like to see a little bit more. And tomorrow night when they play the Bruins, I'm hoping for a hell of a game. And it should be a real good one, as they will take on the Bruins at Rogers Place, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for you guys in Edmonton. So it's a little bit of a late game for you guys. 7 p.m. here for me Pacific. It's a perfect time. I can relax at that point in time. I can have everything ready, have my wings ready, and just be ready to tune into that game. And I'm so pumped for it. All right, guys. So I've been buzzing around the internet a little bit, and I noticed that Mark Hunter is starting to make some conversation. That he could very well succeed Ken Holland for GM if he does retire at the end of the season, which is highly likely he will. Um, my thoughts on Mark Hunter, I'm not completely sold on him yet. Um, but we'll see what happens here. I'm 100% not completely sold on him. He and the guy I was talking about that I couldn't think about that earlier, Jeff Jackson. He's associated with Jeff Jackson. And Jeff Jackson did bring in Kris Knolauch. We know how that played out. Played out pretty good. So I am going to take a leap of faith with Jeff Jackson if that's the call he makes and having him come in. He did have a bit of a stint with the Toronto Maple Leafs back in 2014-15 as director of player personnel for the Toronto Maple Leafs when co-assistant GM with Kyle Dubas under Lou Lamoriello when Lou Lamoriello was still there. So he's kind of got a bit of a taste of it, but is it enough? That's what worries me. The one good thing is he has a business kind of vibe to him, as he was also the part owner of which team was that? I don't have it now, but he was a part owner of an OHL team. If it comes to me, like I say, I'm a little tired tonight, guys. Forgive me for not being totally in, but it was a 10.5 hour day for me today, so it was a long day. But yeah, he could very well be the guy, and I'm not going to criticize Jeff Jackson because what he did with bringing in our coach here, he did a pretty good job. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm just surprised Keith Gretzky isn't getting a bit of consideration because he's been with the organization, excuse me, for a long time. Okay. So now this is up on my YouTube community page. I put up a vote up there. I'd like to get you guys involved and find out which player you'd actually be considering as Jake Gunsel. I don't know if he's in consideration now because he did get hurt, but I think he would be ready for the playoffs. Tanev is the one that you're always hearing about. And I made a point of it, that Marc-Andre Fleury on my armchair GM would be, I think, the ideal candidate. Just because I just don't think the goaltending tandem we have now is playoff ready. And that's not to knock Skinner or Picard. I think having Fleury behind the pipes for me would be the way to go. But I want to get your guys' vote on this. So go to my community page, place your vote. I will reveal the voting answers in the next few days. I don't know if it'll be next episode, maybe on the weekend episode, and let you guys know what ended up happening and how you guys elected to vote. There's 4 options. There's those 3 guys, and then there's none of the above basically option or a different player. I forgot how I worded it, but yeah. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on it and find out where your guys' head is at. All 3 are definitely legit players, but I guess my main question is, what is our main need right now? And for me, I know what it is, what I think it is. But I want to see how it all plays out in a vote. And up next is those big, bad Boston Bruins. This is a team that when me and Sammy did the season preview, both didn't have them even making the playoffs. Just because they lost way too much up the middle. But somehow this team is rallying. And a little bit of news on that we got earlier this week is Milan Lucic. The charges have been dropped for the assault So that's good for him. However, he is not going to be playing this year for the rest of the season. Who knows if we'll ever see Milan Lucic again? He is up there in age, and that could have very well have been his swan song, but he won't be back. But anyway, let's get into this game against the Boston Bruins. And I think it'll be a good one. This is the first of two. They will play in Boston a little bit later. I don't know the exact date. But it should be a decent game, I would think. Both teams are legitimate Stanley Cup contenders, so it should be a good fight. Marchand is doing a pretty good job as a captain, and we'll see how that all plays out. As far as some of these stats go, when it comes to goals, Oilers edged them out, averaging 3.56. Boston is 13th in the league at 3.32. I'm just going to briefly run over some of them because you do have the graphic there. You can look at all what you want to see. The ones that really stand out for me is when it comes to shooting percentage, Boston is 6th in the league, averaging 11% on their shots. They're also tied 4th in the league for goals allowed. So they are a very stingy team and very good defensive-minded team. A couple of their worst stats that they have. Trying to see if there's any in the 20s. The worst one I can see here is, they're 24th in penalty minutes. So they do take a few penalties, and the Oilers have their power play is kind of starting to come together, so that could hurt them tomorrow night against them. The goaltenders that they're expecting tomorrow is going to be Linus Ullmark. He has a record of 16, 6, and 4, a 272 goals against average, and a 913 save percentage with one shutout. Stuart Skinner, 25, 12, and 1, 257 goals against average, 906 save percentage, 2 shutouts. The Oilers are on a 2-game winning streak. The Boston Bruins on a 1-game winning streak. The record for the Oilers currently is 33, 18, and 1. The Bruins are 33, 12, and 11. The home away records, Boston on the road have an incredible 15, 5, and 6 record. Meanwhile, the Oilers at home are 17, 6, and 1. Boston love playing them road games. Last 10, Boston is 4, 4, and 2. The Oilers are 7, 3, and 0. The last they met was on March 9th, 2023, where Edmonton ended up beating Boston by a count of 3-2. This should be definitely a good game. This is one of those games you want to get the wings out, maybe a few beers and enjoy it, or order the pizza in. I don't know. Whatever you do to entertain or whatever, you should definitely consider it. I think it'll be a hell of a game. All right, guys, let's go into final thoughts, and I'll see if there's any comments. It doesn't appear to be for tonight. No comments tonight. So I will get into my little rant here. As well, I wouldn't say rant. But I do like what Knolauch did, and I hope Knolauch does stick to this. It's going to be interesting to see what comes down the wire in the trade deadline. You know that the Oilers are going to do a splash somewhere. I don't know where. I'm even hearing Jordan Eberle's name coming up. So we'll see. We will see what happens here. I'm still pretty convinced that goaltending is something that needs to be addressed with this team. That's where I would like them to go. I would love them to pick up Marc-Andre Fleury. That being said, Marc-Andre Fleury would have to agree to coming here, as he does have a full no-movement clause. We'll see what happens with that. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. It's been a long day, so I just want to relax myself. Those of you who are witnessing this channel for the very first time and like the content that I bring, feel free to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Those of you who've been through the last 3 years with me through thick and thin. I appreciate your support, and it really means a lot to me. I'm also now on TikTok. I do little shorts on there, and as you notice, I do shorts on YouTube. So I'm kind of trying to spread out a little bit and try to do different things. I still enjoy doing this, so it doesn't pay me anything to do this. Not yet. I'm not monetized yet, but I'm not. To me, I enjoy doing it. It's fun for me, and I'm going to continue doing it until it's no longer fun. But other than that, guys, I think I am going to wrap this one up. And we will see you tomorrow's, okay, so today's Tuesday, Wednesday, quite possibly Thursday night. I just can't confirm it yet. And we'll talk soon. All right, guys. You have an amazing evening. Enjoy the Bruins game. Do up some wings. Have a good time. We'll talk to you soon.